Hey guys, welcome back to my story. No, not my story. Welcome back to my channel. So today's story, we have this lady sharing how her friend was cheated on by her man. So let's take a
Tell
listen.
me why my friend called me and she said, I need you to come over to my house right now. I'm about to confront my boyfriend for cheating on me. With the quickness, I went over there and I got to the house and she had dinner table set up and she was like, come sit down. We're about to have dinner. I was confused, but I sat down and we had meatloaf, mashed potatoes, some Brussels sprouts. It was a very nice dinner. But the whole time I was a little uneasy because she was just too calm. You just called me and said, you're about to confront your boyfriend. What's going on? We ended up having a great dinner. Once it was done, she cleaned up the place and told us to go sit down in the living room.
Was it the Last Supper?
She said, I want to watch my favorite movie for colored
Oh,
girls. Once we got to the living room, my friend started playing the movie, but she fast forwarded to Janet Jackson's scene. She played it and rewinded and played it again 5 times before Marshall, her boyfriend, finally said, why do you keep doing this? Suddenly, my friend's phone was connected to AirPlay, and on the TV screen was Marshall's big booted butt on that screen, bent over for another man. That video only played for about
what?
5 seconds until Marshall got up and punched the TV. Now the whole room is silent. My friend is sitting there with her arms crossed.
What? What? I will never understand why men that are what are they call it again? Is it DL? Why they marry, why some of them marry, I will never understand. Is it for cover so that their community or their friends will not suspect anything? Ooh, hoo,
Waiting for
hoo.
Marshall to say something. But when I realized nobody said anything, I decided to say, you didn't have to punch the TV. Tell me why. My friend said she needed $10,000. So I looked at her
No,
boyfriend
no,
and
no,
said,
that's
you
not the
stuck a
part
chicken up
two.
your
No, no,
butt for
no, no.
10.
Okay.
Marshall punched that
Uh-huh.
TV because he was bent over for
Yes.
his homeboy in broad daylight. Finally, Marshall spoke up and said, where did you get that video from? My friend looked at him and said, your homeboy posted it on his close friends with a link to his OnlyFans. At this point, Marshall's freaking
What?
out. He's like, let me explain. My friend said, no, you don't have to explain. I already bought a subscription to your homeboy's OnlyFans.
What? What? Does Marshall know that he's been filmed for public um business place? And why is it that whenever the cheater is caught, they want to explain that? What do you want to explain? You want to explain how you are playing for the other, gender. Is that what you want to explain, or why you married her to camouflage? What could you possibly explain?
Now
Oof.
Marshall's freaking out, pacing back and forth. And my friend, she got other plans. She pulled out her phone and she handed it to me. On that screen was his homeboy's OnlyFans, and on every single video was him and Marshall in different positions. My mouth is dropped. I'm scrolling through it and I'm looking like, oh my God, I didn't know he got down this freaky. My friend looks at me and said, wait, that's not even the worst one. She points me to a video and Marshall is bent over and there is a rubber chicken down his booty hole. Every time
Hmm?
Marshall moaned, that chicken done. Now I'm uncomfortable and I put the phone down, and now we're all staring at each other in silence again. Marshall's still pacing back and forth, scratching his head. He don't know what to do. Marshall looked at both of us and said, babe, we needed the money. I looked at my friend and
Huh?
said, how much money did y'all need? Tell me why my friend called me and she said, my friend said she needed $10,000. So I looked at her boyfriend and said, you stuck a chicken up your butt for 10 bands? And Marshall said, you stay out of it. I said, no, I was already brought into it when y'all invited me for dinner. I am interested. Finally, Marshall told us to wait right there and he left to the bedroom, came back with a box full of money and said, here, this is our money. You should be thankful. My friend opened up the box
Eh?
and looked at the money, and lo and behold, a little over 10 grand was in that box. Marshall got on his knees and he came up to his girlfriend. He said, baby, I did this for us. We needed this money. My friend looked.
Oh, girlfriend. They're not married. Girlfriend. But why is it becoming so common in the Western world for people dating to be cohabiting? Why is that becoming the norm? See, there's a whole lot that brings into the equation when you are cohabiting with somebody. It takes so much choices away from you. It's hard for you to make some decisions that you would have been able to make if you had your own place. I don't know if you guys are getting my point. I know you guys, oh, this is 2025, but that doesn't mean you're still doing it the wrong way.
At me and said, what should I do? I looked at my friend. I looked at the money. I said, first, you need to wash that money. Because if he stuck that chicken up his butt, what else did he stick up his butt? My friend started crying. She looked at Marshall and said, Marshall, I don't want that money. We could have figured it out. Pushes the money off the table and the money goes everywhere. While they're going back and forth arguing, I slowly reached down and started grabbing each dollar because I wanted the money. I'm on the floor grabbing every single dollar. My friend is sitting there crying her eyes out, and Marshall finally said enough is enough, and he got on one knee and pulled out a ring. He said, "Baby, I
Eh?
wanted you to marry me." My friend is shaking her head.
What?
She's emotional. She said, "I don't know what to say, Marshall." I finally spoke up from the ground and said, "Where did he get that ring from?" My friend, as soon as I took the ring out of my friend's hand, I instantly knew he stuck that ring up his booty hole. I instantly dropped the ring on the ground and I went to go wash my hands. Now Marshall was pissed. He's asking me, why did I drop the ring? Before he could pick it up, my friend picked it up and put it close to her nose and took a sniff and instantly started gagging. Marshall starts telling us that we're unappreciative and we are so disrespectful, but I told Marshall that ring smells like shit. While me and Marshall are arguing, my friend went back on her phone and she started scrolling through the OnlyFans. As soon as my friend seen the video that she was looking for, she started crying again and she gave me the phone. In the video, Marshall was pulling out a lubed up velvet box out of his homeboy's booty hole. And we knew that was the ring because as soon as he pulled the box out, he flipped it open and we seen the ring shining in the light. My friend started crying. She said, "Marshall, why would you do that?" And Marshall looked at her and said, "It was just content, babe. It was a content idea." I was shocked. I said, "What type of content idea was that? How much money did you make from that?" He didn't answer me.
So was it basically giving her like a shut up ring? They use a ring to create content. So, since maybe the game must have been pestering him for marriage, he decided that let me shut her up with this ring. Maybe she'll just decide to stay quiet and allow me do my thing so that my cover will not be blown.
So I
Wow.
think he did that shit for free. My friend was crying so much she started to shake and she looked at Marshall and said, "Show me the box the ring came in." He put his head down and he said, "Fine." And when he pulled out the box, it was no longer velvety and smooth. It was crusty and black. I looked at Marshall and I said, "Now where did that box come from?" As my friend got up from the couch, went into her room, pulled out a black bag and unzipped it and showed us a 12-inch dildo. My mouth instantly drops and Marshall goes white as a ghost and says, "Where did you get that?" My friend said she found it 2 weeks ago when she was cleaning their bedroom. She found it duct taped under the bed. I instantly looked at my friend. I said, "You found it 2 weeks ago and you're just now saying something?" Marshall gets nervous and he says, "Babe, I can explain." So I sit back and relax because this is the only thing I want to see what he can pull out his ass. Marshall runs over to my friend, grabs her by the arm and says, "Babe, I bought that to spice up our sex life." I looked at Marshall and I said, "That actually makes sense." My friend looks at me and says, "Whose side are you on?" I said, "You're completely right. Why was it duct tape under the bed, Marshall?" Marshall started stuttering. He was walking back and forth. He didn't know what to say. Until finally he dropped down to his knees and he started crying. He said, "Fine, I'm gay." The room went silent. Me and my friend just stared at Marshall because we already knew that. As Marshall was crying on the ground, I decided to get up from my seat and I looked at the TV that he punched. And I looked at Marshall and I leaned forward and I said, "You really didn't have to punch the TV." My friend got up from the couch.
So our problem was the TV. But this is sounding like a made up story. But it's as bizarre as it sounds. This is actually somebody's reality as we are speaking now. The world is getting so evil, so dark, that people are so selfish to the extent that they will go to any length to cover their sinful way of doing life. I want to even see what people are saying in the comments. My network. Mhm. Ooh, what is that? Ew. Somebody said he definitely didn't have to punch the TV. This turned into a low budget Tyler Perry movie. Ooh. But guys, do you think this is somebody's reality? Do you think so? But why do you think people go to the extent of marrying somebody, but despite the fact they know that that's not the life they want to live? Why do you think people are lying to themselves? And let me tell you, no, you were not born to be gay. You're not born like that. There's no way anybody will ever tell me that and convince me that they were born gay. It's a lie from the pit of hell. Do you know what? If what I've also discovered, all of what majority of us have also come to realize, most of all these people that are gay, when you listen to their life story, when you listen to their childhood story, you will see that they were abused. That's how it started. So think about that for a minute before you start telling me, oh, some people are born that way. It's a lie. It's a lie. See you on the next video.